Welcome to the Battlefield Show. I'm your host, Sage Goodwin, and as always, I'm joined by Sammy Boy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I am doing very well. Episode 101, and we're talking about all things Battlefield 2042 Season 6. And it is a big one, Dark Creations. So let's jump right in. We have things to talk about that are exciting and positive and not too negative. I do have some gripes, but that'll come later.
I've got some unfortunate negatives, but we'll just talk about the happy things first, and then we'll get to that
let's jump right into it, man. I hopped on last night to jump into the new map. I'm having quite a fun time with it.
It is the map, or not the map. I think you and I have said we want like an urban map, but like in terms of just the way it plays, regardless where it's set, it's the map I've wanted since launch. Pretty much, it's a super chaotic meat grinder, and although that's not, if every Battlefield map was like that, I wouldn't like that because I do enjoy the like large scale, just typical Battlefield maps that are bigger, but one of those more like Call of Duty type maps that's just chaos, I do really enjoy them in Battlefield. I think every Battlefield needs to have like one or two of them. And so I'm glad we finally got it. It's been a long time coming, but yeah, it is good to finally have it after, nearly 2 years now.
Almost exactly 2 years.
Yeah.
With each subsequent season, the maps have gotten more close quarters combat focused. And now we have one of the most close quarters combat focused maps, and it's based out of Scotland in terms of the actual location, and it's a really fun underground facility. And dude, the vibes are immaculate.
Yeah, they nailed the feeling of this map. It is definitely one of the ones that feels more in line with the tone that I think we all kind of thought the game would be, a bit more gritty, a bit more dark, and the whole like AI element to it as well is a bit more like futuristic. I'm generally not huge on like futuristic shooters, but I think with this game, because they've done pretty well with it being like not too futuristic, it's just kind of like modern day with a slight twist.
Yes.
And I kind of really like that. And when they did that with Season 3 with the slightly advanced weaponry, I really liked that. So this going back, not so much that the weapons are necessarily like that, but just the feeling of the map, the whole AI thing does feel a bit futuristic. And I'm very happy with the way that like you said, the vibes of the season, I think they've nailed it.
Yeah, and it feels cohesive. Like it feels like they are telling a full story. It's not like they're just throwing stuff out there like it has felt in past seasons. It feels like, okay, no, they have a plan on what they need to do. This is exactly what they want and how they want it. It feels great.
It's like I said, it's been a long time coming since, like, I do think Season 3 nailed that with the general aesthetic, and you could tell that was like what they were going for with that season. A lot of the other seasons have felt, for example, Season 2, I think that was really good. Stranded was really good. Crawford is not that bad of a character, but just it didn't like gel together necessarily. Not that it needed to. It was still a good season. But then Season 3 was like everything was like perfectly aligned. And this feels like another season like that, where it's everything they've done, even just all the skins and stuff. It all just makes sense. And that's really how I think. It's really the only way outside of more content, it's the only way they could have improved the other seasons, is having those more like themed seasons, more than just like, here's a cool map, couple weapons and stuff. All the content was really good, but it didn't necessarily line up well. And I think it's easy for me to sort of appreciate that now, because when we do get these seasons that feel very aligned, I actually just really appreciate when it feels that way, which is something that it's not necessary to the game. It's not like it ruins the previous seasons if they're not in that sort of alignment, but it definitely just adds to it, which I think it also needed with this season, because there's obviously a bit less content than previous seasons, but like I said, we'll save that for once we've got the happy stuff out of the way.
Yeah, that discussion is coming because there's some interesting revelations on that side of things. But yeah, like we're talking about, the vibes are great. The community reaction, I feel like, is really good. It feel like you're talking about. It feels cohesive. It feels like it. This shows what Battlefield 2042 should have been since launch.
Yeah, exactly. Like, imagine, let's just say the game launched in like, I don't know, the state that it was in during like season 2 or something, and then season 3 was the first season, and then this was like the second season in terms of like if they all felt cohesive, like we've said. This version of Battlefield, oh my God, it would have been so good, I think. And although it's a shame that's the way that it's gone, it's still, it's been out so long now that I've kind of gotten past the whole, like, the rough launch and the drip fed content and stuff. I've just accepted all that. So it is still, even though it's disappointing to think of it that way, I do still appreciate it that it's, at least we did get it. It could have been much worse. We could have just not gotten all this type of content. And so there's always going to be that, yeah, it's good, but blah, blah, blah. That's always going to be there with this game. But I don't know. I'm just trying to appreciate it while it's still here, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happens after this. We could still get more seasons. There was a lot of stuff the other day about the Twitch drops or whatever, Amazon Prime stuff that,
basically announced possibly some more seasons.
Yeah. So like it could get more, or it would not at all surprise me if this is the last season. Like, I'm really it's completely up in the air for me personally. So I'm just kind of treating this as though like this may be the end. And if it is, they've ended on a high with the content, and I kind of just want to soak it up. And if it's not, if I soak it up and then they announce season 7, then that's great as well. I'm not gonna complain about that. So I'm just trying to look at it as in a positive mindset. Like I said, I do have a few issues that we'll get to, but overall, I'd say the season is definitely a positive one for me.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's get into kind of how we've been enjoying the actual gameplay side of things. Last night, this is exactly what I've wanted out of Battlefield. This is peak. Go in, die, hopefully get some kills in each life, respawn, do it again. The angling, the flow of the map, this feels like they actually designed a map and cared about it. And I don't necessarily feel that on all of the other maps. Like, this feels so specific, so focused on exactly what Battlefield is when it goes close quarters combat and goes all in on that.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, it makes me wonder if it's just because of the size, maybe because there's less to make, like less surface area to make, they can focus on that, or if it's just, it just is like more passion was put into it. It does feel a bit like that. It feels like they, even just like the devs have been tweeting a lot about it, saying like this, this season is going to be special. We're going to do something cool. It does seem as though they're kind of like really excited and almost like revived for their enjoyment of making the game. I'm not too sure, but regardless, it's a positive for us. Like, we've just ended up with a really good map. I feel like the weapons are all really fun. I'm like blown away by the skins. The skins are great. And to be fair, they don't like affect gameplay. So they're not something I always praise cosmetic stuff, but also like I think you've got to also not praise it too much, as weird as that may sound, because it doesn't actually affect the gameplay. I think gameplay related, like maps and weapons and stuff, are more important. But that being said, it gives us something to grind for and to play for. And I think these are the best skins. This is easily the best battle pass we've had by like so much. I would honestly say, if you gave me the option of buying all 5 of the previous battle passes or just this one, I think I would just buy this one. Like, it's got so much awesome stuff. Even just the smaller stuff, like the player cards and stuff, are just so good looking. Like, yeah, the overall aesthetic for this season is by far the best.
Oh yeah, and like you said, those things are nice. All of the skins, like
Yeah.
it actually makes me want to do the battle pass, and not many times has it made me want to do the battle pass. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily a battle pass kind of person. Like I'm not someone who will generally go through that whole process and try to get all the battle pass stuff going and do everything. But this time I'm like, I think I'm going to do it. Like I think I'm going to dedicate the time necessary to go through and do all the different quests, do everything like that so I can get those skins because those are freaking sweet.
Yeah. There's some of them that are just like, just ridiculous, like so good, and it's kind of, in a way, it's a bit of a shame that we're only just getting them now, because if the cosmetics for this game, if every season was this good, my god, it would be like one of the best looking games in terms of the sheer amount of like cosmetics, because it's not just like one or two. Most other seasons always have one or two really cool skins. And then the rest are kind of just like, yeah, that's all right. It's just like a slight variation, like a different camo sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But like all of these are just like so sick. There's only, I'm actually currently looking at the battle pass, and there's only about 3 that I've found in the 100 tiers that are not mind blowing, and even still, they're actually still cool. They're just kind of like decent, whereas all the rest are like, wow, that's actually amazing.
Yeah. It's so true. Like the flow, the characters, everything with the battle pass is cohesive. It's what you want. It is, I don't know, it just feels complete.
It just feels like what a season should be, is the way I would describe it. Just like, just the general theme, all the content matches. It just feels like that used to be the go. You know, like, I'm thinking back to like, even Battlefield as well did it, but I'm thinking back to like the old like DLC packs for Call of Duty games, and they would be like themed. So they'd add like 4 maps that were like all set in one city or set in one rough location, and it just felt like it matched. And they'd have like a zombies map that matches those places. It just, everything, it was like the season had a name, and it made sense with the rest of the content. And yeah, so far, I do think season 3 had that, but really the other ones haven't. And like I said, I probably sound negative saying like, oh, they haven't had it, therefore they suck. They don't suck at all. They were all good seasons. It's just that it just adds like an extra layer of, all the content's really good, but then I just feel kind of like drawn into it more immersed in it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's actually a tangible like theme going on, rather than just like, damn, that's a cool map, and then this weapon that has nothing to do with the map is, I guess that's pretty cool as well. Like, it just feels nice when they all tie together, I think.
Yeah, it feels like a Battlefield game. It feels like this is something that you want to continue playing, rather than just some random game that's not very cohesive. Like,
yeah,
it's exciting. It's different. It is so unique. I feel like a lot of the maps tonally just feel just not quite up to snuff, you know?
Yeah. They all play well. They're all maybe set in, you know, decent locations, but they don't necessarily fit the game, is what I would describe it. Not to say that doesn't make them worse. It's just like, it's more something that they've missed that they could have made it better. Doesn't necessarily mark it down. It's just like, it could have actually been even better than it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we talked about, they oftentimes will have an opportunity to create something interesting just from the leaks that we get around the locations. And most of the times when they give us that, it's like the safe choice with each location.
Yeah.
This time, they just said straight up, like, you know what? We're going to take out all the stops. We're going to make an underground research facility lab, which has biospheres in it and has a theme of basically like AI-controlled zombies. And that's going to be the theme of the season. Like, that's when you say this is Battlefield 2042, it's going to be a near future, futuristic type shooter. And it's going to play around with these two warring factions. Like, I kind of think that you should lean into that technically advanced storyline. And this is the first time that they're truly doing it.
Yeah, and it's good to see like that they.
I say maybe second time, but
Yeah,
first like
yeah.
full on out.
And the thing with season 3 though, like you just said, is that I feel, although that was all great, we actually said when they announced it was Sweden, we were like, give us a city map, give us an urban city map.
Stockholm.
Yeah, and so although that season was great, I actually do still think it would have been awesome to see. Like they did still take the safe option with just like as much as it was a good map, just open fields and two big squares. That was literally all it was. So this does feel like it's not the safe option in that even just it being underground, they didn't have to put the dome thing on the roof, and they could have just had it outside and it would have still been cool. But the fact that they like fully immersed us in like the roof when you're in those quote unquote outdoor sections is like LCD screens, like it just, they didn't have to do that. That's what makes it feel a bit more special than the other ones, that they've actually decided this is like something different, and they've even said this is the first ever fully indoors map. Like we've never actually, even Locker, it had the outdoor sections. This is the first Battlefield map in history that is completely indoors. So yeah, it just feels good that they've just taken a bit of risk, because maybe it could have been, that could have come off poorly. Like let's just say they didn't do the roof that looks like you're outside and it was just fully indoors. I'm sure actually people would have probably complained like, oh, this map's so dark and boring, like you should have done an outdoor section. So there's still the risk, there is actually risk there that they could have had a lot of complaints about this, but they took that risk and it's definitely paid off.
Yeah, it's so unique. It's so like exciting. Everything that I want out of like a Battlefield 2042, hypothetical Battlefield 2042, is like in this map. Like if they started off the whole live service with a map like this and continued with that theme, dude, I would say if once they got like in this hypothetical Battlefield 2042 that we did not get, let's just say the game launched, it was solid, and they didn't have to, per usual, go through the whole process of, fixing the game. But if it was solid, and then they kicked off the Battle Pass and the live service with this map and continued with that theme throughout the whole of the game, dude, we would be looking at a game that would rival any other Battlefield.
Yeah, I genuinely think I can like envision that right now, and I truly think that would push. Maybe still maybe not so much the gameplay. I think like Battlefield 1 and even Battlefield 4's gameplay, even Battlefield 5 had maybe potentially better gameplay, not by a lot, just like slightly better. But I think in terms of the theme of that, if this game was like essentially like messed up futuristic AI warfare with this, just like they fully bought into the dark, gritty 2042 storyline instead of it being, when it launched, it was a bit more like cartoony in a way. If they bought into that, I think that would be by far my favorite theme of any of the Battlefield games. And like the gameplay is good enough that it could actually be, I think I would be comparing that to like, whether it's better or not, it would be in the conversation with Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4 for me, I think. So again, it's in a way, it's sad to think about that, but it's still, like I said, it's still cool that we actually got it, because imagine Season 5 was the last one and then it just ended. We'd probably have a bit of a like sour taste on the game. We'd be like, oh, it turned around really well, but it didn't end that great. If this is the end, then I'm happy that it's the end, if that makes sense. It's ended in a good spot that makes me actually, I feel like it makes me appreciate the game a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gives you the satisfying culmination of what they've set up.
Yeah.
Now that we've waxed poetic, let's talk about this whole thing with the Battle Pass. This, I think they've adjusted it slightly, but when they launched the Battle Pass and they announced it, it's gonna last longer, right?
Yeah, this one is 16 weeks from what everyone has. I haven't actually looked into that yet, but I've just seen it on Twitter that obviously usually they're 12 weeks. I think there was 2 that were 13 because just like they were just timing it better to sort of end at a better time. But yeah, they're usually 3 months, but this one is essentially 4 months. And even like I said, I'm just pulling it up now. Yeah, there's 16 weeks of missions. So that is, look, I already, and yeah, I'm just going to jump straight into the negative side of it. And I just want to firstly, again, reiterate the content and everything. Right now, the season is fantastic. That's all I really have to say about it. It's really, really good. It's probably one of my favorites so far. Where my issues lie is that it already, if it was just a 3-month season, is very, very light on the content. We've got one map, which although is great, it is smaller too. So it may, like, we may get tired of it quicker. That's just speculation. I don't know. Maybe I'll love it still in 4 freaking months when the season ends. But yeah, just the fact that it's smaller, I'm going to assume I've already like been everywhere on the map. So that's a bit of an issue. We only got 3 weapons as well. And then no specialists. There's no more reworks to be done. I don't even know if is there more portal weapons coming. Like I don't even know if we've been told about.
I don't think I haven't seen anything on that.
There's definitely none
that's
in
not saying
the season 6 update, but maybe they'll add some in like 6.1. I'm not sure, but I haven't heard anything on it. So yeah, realistically, we got the battle pass, which again, want to reiterate, is the best one so far, and it's really good. We got a really good map, and we got 3 really good weapons. The content is good, but that for 4 months is not good enough. It wasn't good enough for 3 months, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And now they've added an extra month. So even we went back to like the old seasons, with the reworks, with the specialists, we were all still saying this isn't enough. In season 1 and 2, we were like, this is really good. This isn't enough. And that was more content over less months. And now we're at the point where, even though, like I said, it's all really good, it's less content over more months. So that is where my main issue lies, that this is like proper drip-fed content, unfortunately. And the thing is, it's not even drip-fed. We've got it all right now. Like, what else are they going to add?
Yeah.
We've now got 4 months of just like Redux again, where it's just nothing. It's just like, all right, guys, I'll see you in Feb. I'll check back in once the new season starts in freaking February. Like, that is just wild.
Yeah.
So that's where my issue lies. And as of this exact moment, it's fine because right now it's still fun and everything. I'm not going to think about that. But I do know in like even like 2 to 3 weeks, I'll be getting like, okay, when's the next update? But what's even coming in the next update? That's my issue.
Mm-hmm. I don't see how you can look me in the eyes, Dice, and say to my face, Battlefield 2042 Season 6 has enough content to fill 4 months of gameplay.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that with a straight face. The previous season did not have enough content. All of the limited time only game modes did not have enough content to fill that 6-week period and make me feel like, yes, this is enough content for this time period.
It's something that I don't get. And it really just makes me think that they just have a skeleton crew. Like, there's not a chance that they have a proper team on this game and are putting out this much content. There's just no way. Because even back in the Battlefront 2 days when we knew that they had a skeleton crew, they were still doing more than this. And the game had at least this one has got a battle pass and stuff to earn the money. Battlefront had nothing. That was earning them probably literally $0. I'm sure they were making like random sales here and there on the game itself, but that internally in the game, there was no way to make money because we all had 1 million credits, and if they release new skins, get them for free. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on that side of it. The only positive I can think of is they're like pretty much fully moved on to the next game and trying to give that as much time as they can, which is a good thing for the future. But for right now, this game is still being supported. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want it to leave a sour taste. I don't want to get to the end of this game and let's just say like season 6 is the last one and we get to the end and it's Feb and we're just like, okay, that was a really long season. What's next? And then they're like, oh, sorry, like that's it. That will leave a really sour taste in my mouth. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like I said, with the Amazon Prime stuff, it's kind of hinted at more stuff. It doesn't confirm it because that could just definitely be placeholder, but maybe we're going to get season 7 and 8. Maybe they're taking a bit of extra time to get those seasons really good. Maybe we'll get more maps per season. I don't know, but this is my issue with it. They haven't confirmed season 7. So they're just leaving us in the dark. That's where my issue lies with this kind of thing, is that if they just told us like, yeah, season 7 is coming and it's going to have 2 maps, then I would be like, all right, that's fine. I'll bite the bullet for this season because I know next season is going to be sick. But the thing is, we don't even know if we're getting a season at all. And even if we do, it might just be one map. So that's where the transparency and the communication, they've done better with it over the last year, I would say. It's still not good enough. They need to tell us. They need to give us some sort of roadmap. If they're not sure internally, figure it out. That's my answer to that. A lot of people always say, oh, maybe they don't know. I don't care if they don't know. Figure it out. That's literally their job. So, yeah, that's my main issue with the length of the season is the not knowing. Because like I said, if they said at the start of this season, here's season 6, look, there's not much content. It's a bit longer than normal, but season 7 and 8 are coming and we're taking extra time to get those seasons right, then I would accept this. But unfortunately, they haven't said that. So now all I can think is like, okay, well, it's really good, but it's not good enough. And what the hell's going on after this? That's got me very, very concerned because it could just end. It could just end in Feb. And then, we might get the next Battlefield late next year or something. So we could just essentially from now until the next Battlefield, we just have nothing, which is not exciting to think about, to be honest.
I mean, before we were theorizing, like on the 100th episode, we were theorizing on like, oh, maybe they'll bring back specialists, or maybe they will do another map. Like they wouldn't. They need more content, right? They need more content to make this a full season, even before. And season 5 and 4 even, we were talking about how, what are they going to do when they don't have map reworks? You can't tell me. This is worse than paid DLC.
Yeah, literally.
This future that we're living in is so much worse than the past that we were living in with Battlefield. You pay $15 a DLC drop, you would get 4 maps, and you would get a bunch of skins and weapons, and that would sustain you for 3 months. That was the expectation of content per time. You get 4 maps or 3 maps or 5 maps over a 3-month period. Now you pay more for the game itself. You pay for the battle pass, and you get less content less frequently, and they don't communicate anything about the future. Like, what's going on here? Something's not right.
Yeah, the communication side of thing that will always just frustrate me so much. I understand like that. Anyone at like DICE or any gaming company would probably listen to this and be like, "Oh, this dude's an idiot. He doesn't understand it." I know I don't understand it, but just because there
You're
are
not giving us the opportunity to understand.
Yeah, that's the other side of it. Is that like, let us in. Tell us why you can't communicate at the very least. right? But we know that there's like a million different approvals it's got to go through. There's a lot of stuff that's like, say with like, I don't know what it would be like with Battlefield, but I know, say with like Star Wars games, they're like so protective because of, understandably so, like spoilers and all that kind of thing. There's a lot of, and even just like, then there's the legal side of it that, yeah, if they maybe say something and then they can't live up to that, that puts them in legal trouble. I get all of that. That doesn't mean you can't just tell us anything. Like, they're not even just saying like there is more content on the way. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to use the word season 7. They don't have to tell us what we're getting. They don't have to say the date that it's happening. Just like say, yeah, there's more stuff on the way. Like that you cannot tell me that is either A, going to put them in legal trouble, B, going to spoil something for someone. Like I don't see the possibility of that being a negative.
The game's not Star Wars. You can't spoil a first-person shooter.
Exactly.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. There's times when I really do get it. All right, I'm not like some naive 5-year-old that's just like, oh, tell me all the secrets. Like, I understand there's more to it than what I think. But in situations like that, where like surely they can just say, we're something like, we're looking forward to bringing you more stuff in the future. Don't it could be freaking 2030. I don't care what year you say it's going to be. Just like acknowledge the future of the game. Because right now it's just like, here's the season. It lasts 4 months. See ya. Like that's, we're just like, oh, okay. Like, do we get more stuff? Like what's going on? Surely they can just acknowledge the future. Or the other side of it is, if they are going to be cancelling the game, that's also fine. Tell us. Just tell us. We're going to be mad one way or the other. Like if you tell us now or in 6 months that the game's ending, people will be mad regardless. Doesn't matter when. Someone's going to be mad at you at some point. So just tell us. Like I don't know. The communication side of it, I've actually got a video going up on the channel about this because it's really been, X-Defiant has opened my eyes in terms of that side of it, where they're just full on telling everything. And it's like, okay, well, if they can do it, it's not some indie company, it's Ubisoft, right? They can do it. Why can't these other companies do it? Because X-Defiant, last time I checked, they're not in legal trouble. Last time I checked, their investors aren't pissed off at them. There's nothing going wrong there. Yeah. And they're doing all of this as well. So, yeah. I will forever be annoyed. Like, this is the type of thing I could just rant about this every single episode for the next 10 years. Like, it truly frustrates me that gamers are so freaking loyal, especially like a game like Battlefield, man. The player base is so loyal. This franchise has been, let's not put it lightly, it's been in the mud for about 6 years now. We have stuck by it. We're still playing it. We're still doing podcasts on it. Everyone's still like trying to have fun with it. Supporting the devs when they do good stuff. We always go, oh, you guys have done great with this. The least they could do is just acknowledge us and be like, just fill us in on something. It's so frustrating. I don't know how they don't. Like, oh man, if I was like a community manager at EA, for example, if I was like someone like Kevin, because I know those guys want to tell us. Like, it's not me blaming them. It's blaming like the higher ups, because I know Kevin personally. If he had free reign, he would tell us literally everything, I'm sure. But
yeah,
I know if I was him, I'd be just I'd probably just want to quit, man. I couldn't do that job. I couldn't just keep stuff from people when there's no logical reason to be able to. But unfortunately for those guys, like that, they are tied to that. That's in their job description. They can't just... The
culture of soon TM makes me want to rage in the streets.
It makes me physically angry. Like, I feel like I don't rant that much about like, there's topics that just you can't really get me to rant on, but I feel like every rant that I tend to go on this podcast is something to do with the freaking communication or lack thereof. It just really annoys me. I don't know why. It does my head in. And like I said, I want to make clear, I'm not like blaming the actual community team, because I know that they just want to.
They're some of the most kind individuals there.
And they're also
like in the industry.
as much of a fan of the game as we are. They probably would be itching to tell us all this stuff. Like they'd be just sitting there going, "Oh man, I just want to tell everyone about all this cool stuff," but they can't. And it's not to do with them. It's to do with probably a lot of
system.
just policies in the company, as well as the higher ups saying like, "No, you can't. We don't want to get in trouble," because they just don't understand gaming, man. They're just businessmen. They just like, "Nah, tell them." Like a week before it comes out, so that we're safe from any.
Technically, they announced that we were supposed to get the patch notes a week before the updates drop. Have we ever gotten the patch notes a week before the update drop? No,
not even the time after they said that. They didn't even do it once. They didn't even say that, and then like we got the patch notes a week before the patch. No, they
literally
said that,
the next opportunity for that to be true, they failed at.
They just were like. It was almost like back-to-back tweets. It was like, hey, guys, from now on, we're going to be tweeting a week in advance. Then the next tweet was like, hey, already in the game is the next patch. Here's the patch notes. We were all just like, what the hell? What do you mean? It's just, something's got to change, man. And because it was every game ever. Like, when you think about it, it's not just EA and DICE, it's everyone. But then when XDefiant has just changed it, now that makes me even more annoyed because I'm like, okay, it's not. There's not some like genuine legal thing that they can't do this because XDefiant.
Yeah.
Mark Rubin's just been he just jumps on Twitter and he's like, "Yep, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna. What do you guys want to see? Let me put a poll up," and then the next update had it in the game. Like, it's just wild, and it just makes me go, okay, if realistically this pretty small team. I know Ubisoft's massive, but like the team working on this game, this is its first. This is not like a Call of Duty with 15 titles. This is XDefiant. It's its first game, and they're just doing whatever they want. And it's like if they can do it, why the hell can't these other companies do it?
Yeah, it's honestly a culture thing at this point, I believe, because for
boomer culture
decades. Yeah, decades, the teehee, working on something cool, can't tell ya.
Oh, man.
I hate soon TM so much.
I hate, like, people, especially who, it's not even just, like, companies, just anyone who's, like, when they know something and they're like, oh, I know something you don't know, but I can't say it. Like, just shut up. I didn't ask. Just
shut up.
Just
tell me,
tell
or
me
don't
when
tell
you know
me.
it.
I don't care.
Or just shut your mouth. I don't care that you know something cool.
It's also terrible from a expectation setting because if you say soon TM, that means something big's happening, and if something big doesn't happen once that, like, you just set up everyone for disappointment. There's no.
Yeah. Oh man, that part annoys me too. Is that they're worried about trying to avoid legal issues of like announcing something and then they can't live up to it. The amount of stuff that they do gas up and then it sucks. Like, stop gassing your things up if it's not good. Like, just tell us immediately. You just tell. So then we know. Because leading into this season, even though the content's really good, and we will probably touch on this at some point, the mid-season event looks promising, right? But I actually thought when they were teasing this map, I'm kind of like, oh my God, are they adding like a zombie mode or something? And I generally don't like get into wild speculation like that, but they really did make it seem as though there was something nutty going on. Yeah. And then it's not there. So, and look, to be fair, that's probably my fault for being excited about that, but they were the one who gassed it up a bit. Like, don't... they go on about, not wanting to set expectations too high and all that side of it. But it's like, you are the ones doing that. If you just tell us what is going on, then we know what's going on, and then we don't set expectations too high because we just know already what's happening. It's just, it baffles me that a lot of the stuff they do and say is kind of backwards to what they are trying to achieve. Just doesn't make much sense.
I think we'll save the limited time only mode for its own episode because I think there's a lot that we can speculate on there. But I'm with you 100% of like the whole idea of like they set things up and then it's like, no, it's your fault that you had this expectation even though we didn't prep you properly to temper those expectations.
Yeah, it's a fine line between, obviously you want to have some mystery around stuff. You want it to be an exciting reveal and stuff. So I don't want them to just tell us literally every bit of detail. There's always that fun, like, excitement with, oh, there's a new trailer dropping today. What's it going to be? What are they showing off? There's always the fun element of that. But, like, that doesn't mean you can't say anything. You show us in those trailers and stuff, show us, like, the vibe of the map and what it looks like and everything. But before it, you can still tell us we're getting 1 map and 3 weapons. You don't have to show it in the trailer. You can say, we're getting a new map this season. Tune into the trailer on Tuesday to see what it looks like. Like, they don't have any balance there. They kind of just like, here's this massive thing coming next week. Tune in to see the trailer. And then it just shows a map and 3 weapons. And we're like, oh, like, it looks cool, but you kind of gassed it up a little bit too much.
It's freaking ridiculous. Yeah. It's honestly how they do the live service. It's like they drop everything and then they drop the content and then they drop communication for 3 months and then they drop the content and they drop communication for 3 months and then it's like that's now 4 months.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's very frustrating, and I just hope that realistically, I really hope for every game's sake that X-Defiant blows up and does really well, purely for the fact that they can, because like if that was Call of Duty having that level of transparency, people would take notice instantly. So then the next Battlefield might be affected by that. But because X-Defiant's kind of a smaller game, it may not even have an effect. And if it doesn't have an effect, that's going to really annoy me, because like I want devs to see that game and see the transparency and be like, oh, that actually like that is literally the reason I'm excited for it. It's no different than Call of Duty. It's just that they're actually telling me stuff, and I'm like, oh, I got the choice between COD and X-Defiant. One studio just does not tell me a sentence, and then X-Defiant studio tells me everything, so I'm just going to play that one instead. Like, I hope that they look at that and go, damn, this game's like doing pretty well because of the transparency and the communication. But it's, I don't know if X-Defiant's big enough to be able to do that. So at the very least, I hope X-Defiant causes some waves in the FPS genre to where Call of Duty then maybe goes, okay, they did really well, let's steal their idea and do that ourselves. Because if Call of Duty does it, then everyone takes notice. It's the biggest game every year. So, yeah. My hope is that X-Defiant, the little fish in the big pond, can sort of change the trajectory of the communication. Because gaming, like, overall, it's not even just the shooter genre. It's just way too, like, secretive. It's boring at this point, man. I'm too old for this stuff. I'm too old to be sitting here waiting for news for like 6 freaking months, and then it's just tell me. I can't be bothered anymore.
Yeah. I'm over the secrecy.
Yeah.
Stop it. Yeah. But I think with that, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Battlefield Show. Let us know your thoughts on what we discussed today and what is your favorite part of the new map, because it's pretty exciting. But let us know your thoughts in the comments below or contact at uplinkpodcast.com. As always, we'd like to thank Ethan Clark for the beautiful thumbnail, all of you for listening, and we'll see you on the battlefield.